Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today the Dallas Cowboys have traded for Trey Lance, the 2021 third overall pick that has only started, I think he started in only three or four games in his career. Started 2 games last season, where the first game they played the Bears, they lost against Chicago. I think they lost by like 6 or something, and then in the second game, you saw him hurt his ankle in like the first half or something, or the third quarter, whatever it was. Where I think it was the second. Yeah, it was like mid-second quarter when he hurt his ankle. Was season-ending ankle injury, where Jimmy Garoppolo would come in for the 49ers to be the quarterback for the rest of the season, up until Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, and then rookie Brock Purdy came in, and then you saw just the whole quarterback stuff happen with the 49ers all last season, and then. So after all that happened, Jimmy Garoppolo leaves for the Raiders. Brock Purdy, of course, stays. So does Trey Lance. They signed Sam Darnold. Brock Purdy was, of course, going to be the starting quarterback this upcoming season, but Kyle Shanahan was having a backup quarterback competition with Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold won that. I think that upset Trey Lance. And he kind of, there was one day, I think it was Wednesday. I think that was Wednesday was the day. It was the day of where Sam Darnold was announced the backup quarterback. Trey Lance did not show up to practice. The 49ers said they wanted to keep him, but if they had to trade him, they would, potentially look for potential trade options. And they have gotten a 4th-round pick for the 3rd overall pick in 2021. So they traded all that stuff to, trade up and get Trey Lance. They went from 15 to 3 to get Trey Lance and drafted him. He only ended up playing in like 4 or 5 games in the 2 seasons he was with the 2 seasons he was there. So just tough. And now he has a new start in Dallas. Dallas sends a 4th-round pick to the 49ers. And that has to be very disappointing for the 49ers. But at the same time, the way I think of this is you might as well have traded him now, because if you would have waited to do this later, it's not like if you hold it out and traded him at a later time, you weren't going to get any better draft picks. No one was going to trade. Honestly, I feel like the 4th-round pick, getting that from Dallas, is probably the best thing you probably could have got. I think they're lucky they didn't get. They were probably getting offers like a 5th and a 7th-round pick, maybe, or maybe a 5th or 6th, just a 5th or 6th-round pick. So I feel like Dallas offering a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance, honestly, in my opinion, was a really solid offer by Dallas right there. And, honestly, I don't think the 49ers were going to get anything better. I think the only thing I could see getting better for San Francisco would have maybe been a 3rd-round pick, which I really doubt someone would have offered a 3rd-round pick for Trey Lance, when honestly he's going to end up being the backup quarterback for anybody. I didn't think anybody was going to trade for Trey Lance to be a starting quarterback. And now, one of the biggest questions I have with this trade for Dallas is what happens next with Cooper Rush, a guy who is their backup quarterback and started in, 3 or 4 games, maybe it was 5 games last season. When Dak Prescott got hurt, he did really solid for the Cowboys. I think they only lost 1 game when he was their starter, and he went 3-1 that he went when he was their quarterback. It was something like that, and he did really solid. And it was looking like he was going to be the backup quarterback, and maybe Will Grier would be the 3rd-string quarterback if Dallas went with 3 quarterbacks on the roster. But now, I would think Trey Lance is going to be the backup quarterback, and Cooper Rush would be the 3rd-string quarterback. And for Will Grier, I guess that means he's probably going to get cut. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Cooper Rush got cut too. Now that they've traded for Trey Lance. But what does this mean for Dak Prescott as well? Is Dak Prescott's job in danger? I don't think so. But I think Trey Lance is a really good quarterback to have if Dak, who's been injury-prone, I wouldn't say injury-prone, but Dak has had the fair amount of injuries in his career. He's had a decent amount of injuries, was injured last year for a couple games. What was it from? I think Dak was injured from week 1 to week 7, week 8, something like that. So, Dak missed some time last year. So to have a quarterback like Trey Lance, who I feel like I don't think Trey Lance is, he's not as good as Dak Prescott, of course. But Trey Lance could be. Honestly, we say that Trey Lance is not as good as Dak Prescott, but we haven't really seen anything of this kid. This kid has only played 4 or 5 games in the NFL in his 2-year career. And he's played some preseason games, and he's been involved in training camp. But really, you think about it, this guy has not been that much involved in the NFL. So how can you say he's going to be better or worse than somebody when you've barely seen him play? It's like the same thing with Jordan Love. We don't really know what he's going to look like for the Packers when Jordan Love he's only played a couple games. But yeah, so that's just the way I feel. But I think Dak Prescott's definitely better than Trey Lance, but I do think Trey Lance is better than Cooper Rush. So just in case Dak Prescott goes down again, he has another injury, you have a really solid quarterback in Trey Lance to step up and be the starter for the Dallas Cowboys. And it's a start over for Trey Lance. We'll see if he plays at all this season. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him maybe start a game or two. Maybe there comes a time where Dak gets injured, or maybe, who knows, maybe Dallas surprisingly wins this division in Week 18. Dallas doesn't need to start Dak Prescott. Maybe Trey Lance starts Week 18. Who knows? I'm sure there will be a time for Trey Lance to hit the field, whether it's for a start or maybe Dallas is either getting their butts kicked or just like winning like crazy. Maybe Dallas is winning by 20 or 25 points in a ball game, or maybe Dallas is losing really bad in a ball game, and that's a way for Trey Lance to come into the game for the Dallas Cowboys, or possibly he comes in for a start if Dak gets hurt, or if by the end of the season, Week 18, Dallas decides to rest their starters. So that kind of stuff for Trey Lance to hit the field next season. This is a fresh start for him, though. I'm glad for him. I thought it would have been good for San Francisco to run with 3 quarterbacks, especially with everything that happened with their injuries last season. Look at everything. Trey himself getting injured last season, Week 2 against the Seahawks. Then Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, and both guys were out for the season, had season-ending surgery. And then, Brock Purdy comes in. Thank God he does well, but he gets hurt in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. And then his replacement, Josh Johnson, comes into the game. He gets hurt. It was just terrible, everything that happened to the 49ers injuries last year with quarterbacks. But I thought San Francisco would have wanted to keep 3 really solid quarterbacks on the roster just in case they had injury problems with quarterbacks again this season. And I think that's why Kyle Shanahan wanted to keep Trey Lance on the roster. But I think Trey Lance wanted a fresh start, and I think this is a really good trade for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a high risk, low reward. It's a low risk, high reward situation. But we'll see. They didn't have to trade that much for him. Only a 4th-round pick. Maybe he can be something really solid for the Cowboys as a backup quarterback, or maybe even in the near future, a potential starting quarterback if Dak continues to struggle or get injured. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and peace out. And let me know your thoughts on the trade.